spending money in the right areas, I will say. Like spending money, what we're not saying is spending money recklessly. And that's why I think I identified these 4 areas that we've seen where this is where you will get the most bang for your buck. Welcome back to another edition of the Hideaways Show Behind the Curtain, coming to you full of energy, knowledge, and most importantly, coffee from the great state of Kentucky. I'm joined by my main man, Mike Sebastian. How are we doing on this fine Monday in November?
You know, what's funny about your intro is I, for the first day and probably 3 years, didn't have coffee today.
Are you good?
I had tea, but we ran out of coffee. And I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to see how it goes. I don't think it's going to work. But I'm going to try it out. I do love coffee.
So, of all the days that they call out the guy.
It's the one day, like it's been, I'm not even kidding. I probably have 4 or 5 coffees a day. And including yesterday. And you're like full of coffee. And I'm like, excellent.
Not the case.
Probably still, I don't think it's all out of my system from yesterday, but at the same time, like that's pretty wild.
So are you officially making the switch over? Are you going to be like part of the tea community now?
This was an accident.
Okay.
That will probably not last very long, but we don't have coffee in the house at all. And we have a lot of like green tea and whatnot. So I just had some tea.
Just imagine those STR hosts that don't supply coffee to their guests or only supply like maybe like 1 pod or something, you know, like how are those like, I feel like that's how they feel. Like now you're in their shoes.
Yes. Especially me. It's like my wife would get up and be like, you're making coffee. And then I'd have to give it away. It'd be chivalrous and I would just shake and be the for the day. So
that's how it works, man.
But you want to know something even crazier? This is a behind the curtain edition. I spent all weekend working in the gorge, and yesterday I was driving home with my truck and trailer, put together all our Adirondack chairs, put everything out there, like got everything ready. Had a 24-foot enclosed trailer behind me. I was cruising back and said I had 50 miles until empty. I only had 5 miles until I got to my house. And I was like, perfectly fine, not a big deal. Went around the exit ramp and I guess realized that it was calculating without the trailer, and I had the trailer, so made the exit ramp. The truck, I drive a full ton through it, and it's like done, right? And yeah, my lights come on. It says shift into neutral, and I'm amazed they put that in there. What idiot runs out of gas driving home with a trailer? I completely ran out of gas, and the reason I didn't go to Starbucks this morning to get coffee, this is how it connects, is because the trailer is still hooked up. So I literally walked to get gas, walked back, filled up 2 gallons. Backed the truck in, got in Courtney's car, and had to go pick her up from the airport. And I have not had time to unload or unhook the truck. So it wasn't like maybe I'll go to Starbucks. It was like, we're not getting coffee today, period. So
there are no other options.
Yes.
No. So you hadn't shared that with me. That is, I've had that experience before where it's like, I look down, I'm like, because normally I don't let gas run too awfully low.
I've never run out. It said when I ran out, the gauge still said 22 miles to empty, and I had 3/4 of a mile to get to my house, but I had to walk 1.5 miles to the gas station. I was
no. Now, did you tell the wife? Did you tell her you ran out of gas?
Well, when naturally speaking, this is what the STR world looks like for anybody that cares, right? Naturally speaking, I went and got a gas can. I put 2 gallons of diesel in it, and I went back to the truck and poured it all over myself. Because it just leaked and got everywhere. And then I didn't even go out of the house before I got her. So when she got in the car, she's like, hey, is there oil all over my car? Because I had taken her car. And I was like, no, it's me, your husband. And that's what I smell like. And we'll talk about it later. So
I just thought that was a great opportunity for her to be like, oh, you're the one that ran out of gas.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I told her the story and she was like, that's rough.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I'm glad you made it to the podcast. You made it to this point, even though you had to sacrifice coffee. You're here, and we appreciate you being here, Mike. I speak on behalf of our entire committee. We appreciate you being here.
It is great to be here. I'm glad I could do it today.
So I want to dive in a little bit today. I was going through multiple Facebook groups and just like, I always see this with posts of people talking. It's like, how's your Airbnb performing? Like, things are falling off. I'm not getting the occupancy I'm seeing. Like, things are slow. I'm worst numbers I've ever seen. And for us, honestly, it's almost like the best numbers we've ever seen. And I compare
we take their customers.
I know, right? And I look at their properties and I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out what the issue is. And it got me thinking, it's these 4 areas I want to talk through with you today. And these are 4 areas that I think most of these hosts weren't willing, I should say 3 of the 4. 3 of the 4 were areas most hosts weren't willing to spend money on. And those 4 areas, the first one only applies to new construction, and that's finishes. Finishes on new construction properties, I think, is so critical. If you're going to build a property, why basically get to the finish line and just totally half-ass it, essentially, right? Like you're just giving up at that point. You need to spend time and focus on that. Yeah. The other 3 apply to people with properties. It's design and furniture, uniquifying your amenities, and photography and videography. I look at their listings and it's like, you can tell they went as cheap as possible because they bought a $500,000 property and put $1,000 into design, furniture, photography, videography in total. I'm kidding, but like you look at them and it's like, well, that's obvious, but you didn't invest the money in the areas you need to invest the money. And that's what I want to talk through today is like spending and investing money in these areas will yield the returns that you're looking for.
So before we go into them all, I want to know what you mean by uniquifying your amenities. So I don't know if that's straightforward.
I may have made that word up. I punched in uniquifying and it kept doing the red squiggly line under it. I'm like, apparently that's not a word, but we're using it as a word. What I mean by uniquifying your amenities is that I always use the hot tub example because it's relevant to most people. Instead of just putting a hot tub in, do something with that hot tub to make it unique, whether that be the location of where you're placing it, the pieces that you add with it, whether that just, not just string lights, but maybe complement it with outdoor speakers or a projector or build a bar into the edge of it to where people on the outside can sit next to the hot tub. Make that hot tub unique. Don't just have a patio area in the back. Pop a hot tub down there, check the box in Airbnb and say, well, good news. Yeah. I got a hot tub and now I can put it in my title and now I can have that amenity on Airbnb. Like, sure, that'll do well for you, but you need to make it unique. Hence, uniquifying.
Yeah, I like that. We have a hot tub in a place I have in LJ that is inflatable, does not have seats in it, and is basically just like garbage and needs to be put in the dumpster. And I was just a huge fan of the mech, and I think that's the opposite way to uniquify a hot tub. I don't think we should go that direction, but the one that we have at the Stoic, I definitely agree. And as you're like sitting that, I started thinking through all the little options that Airbnb has on the top, right? With True House, and I think they have a section called Unique now.
They do.
Yeah. So like any of the things that you see in there, if you want to make all the elements of yours so unique that like Airbnb doesn't necessarily have a checkbox for it yet. Like hot tub, they don't have hot tub on bold,
right? Yeah,
or hot tub with a view even. But I like that. So, and I would push back a little bit and say the finishes. I mean, if you have a house that has bad finishes and you got a killer price on it, you can fix that. That's some quick renovation. So, I agree. Like if you're doing a design, ground up build, like by all means, make sure you do that correctly. Right.
But and I want to make sure it's clear. And I apologize, my monitor drifted on me. Well, let's bring it back here. But what I don't want people to think is like, oh my gosh, Jordan and Mike are saying we need to go add marble counters to our cabin in the woods. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is like, if you have, if someone came in and put, I am not a builder or contractor by any stretch, but like you put trim around the door and you didn't fill the nail holes, right? Or like small things like that, like fit, like it seems like you just almost like got it done. You're just like, cool. Like to me, like, right. You check the box versus you finished it. It looks clean. It may not on paper, like yield a return, but all of that combined together, caring about all the details and all the finishes will turn that guest experience when they go in. They're like, oh my gosh, like this was the property was amazing. You did everything before versus they're like, oh my gosh, they get there and then the property is amazing. It's fully stocked, but they're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, the nail holes seem unfilled, or I don't know why I'm stuck on nail holes, but like, little things like that, to where it just like, it definitely seems like like you got it across the finish line. You're like, ta-da, it's done.
Yeah. Well, it's like we're having steps redone at one of our places because when we got it, the steps were I think it was the first time that they had ever done finish work on steps with that team, like the subcontractors that they use.
Yep.
And it's not good. Like they just tapped up a couple one by one on there to seal everything. You can still see the chop marks and the paint and not the paint, but the pencil marks from where they had marked everything. It's like, you guys need to do this a little better. And it's exactly that. And I don't think if that's the only thing that someone had with the property, the only issue I'll say, like, or negative experience that they had at the property, I don't think it would matter at all. But I do think that it plays into the overall perception of how much we care. And to be honest, it's a direct indicator of how much we, right? That's why we're getting them done. For one, I want people to know that we actually do care. So that being said, if everything that they experience with the finishes and the furniture and the unifying the amenities and everything else adds to the positive side of their brain, right? That positive sentiment or that positive deposit into their overall valuation of your property, then I think that's going to benefit you a million times in the reviews when something does happen, because something will happen eventually, right? Whether it's a bad experience or the hot tub breaks or whatever. But I like it a lot. And I have a question on if I spend $1 million on furniture, do you think that's a good idea?
I think there's a cap, but I can't sit here and tell you what that cap is. I think it's within reason. Like, I'm not going to, buy a $500,000 house and spending $350,000 on furniture. Probably a dumb idea. But what we typically do, at least for design and furnishing, it used to be, it was like $16 a square foot was like kind of like average. 18, you're getting a little bit more higher quality, and anything above 18 was considered luxury. And I think with how the STR market is professionalizing and getting more competitive, I think that number has started to drift up to where I would almost say like 18 is kind of the low end. 20 to 22 is kind of your high quality, and anywhere from 24 to 26, you're starting to touch into that luxury level, to where I've seen some people, they've spent $30 to $32 per square foot on stuff because they're willing to buy top tier furniture and things like that. But they're going after a different guest avatar, right? They're going after someone who's willing to pay top dollar. They want to come stay at a luxury property, and they want a luxury product. Therefore, they can't promote luxury and go to a thrift store and put a couch in, right? They need to provide the product itself. Yeah. And I think that's, that's your gauge on what type of avatar you're going at, that dictates how much you need to spend for that.
Hey guys, real quick, the only way we can continue to grow this show to bring on bigger and better guests is if you guys rate, review, and share the show. So if you could take 2 seconds and leave us a quick 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, it would mean the world to us. But even better than that, we'll be able to reach more real estate investors and help them build out their dreams through unique short-term rentals. Now back to the show.
Yeah, I think too, there's a lot, like, I don't know, there's been a theme in my life of like breaking things down into this, like, yes, you can actually do that. And a lot of people that I've talked to on this topic, how much you spend on furniture, it's like, there's so many variables. Right? Are you going after families, or are you going after couples? Is it luxury, like you said, or is it entry level? Like, do you have the confidence? Like, if this is your first Airbnb, don't go out and spend $50 on a square foot on furniture, right? But at the same time, there's a lot to be said around putting it together in a spreadsheet and then figuring out if you think it's going to make sense, right? Like we talk a lot about like go to the first no or get to the first no, right? So if you put it together at $30 a square foot, you're like, there's no way that this place is going to actually be profitable. Right. See what it does at 25, but that's like everybody I see that we work with comes with this end all be all question on every topic, right? What is the answer to this? And the answer is we need to go play with the spreadsheet. We need to go play with the design. Mm-hmm. We need to go play with the tourism stats and see, through 500 different iterations, if we can get to 100 yeses. Right. And if you get to 100 yeses, there really isn't a question anymore. Should I do it? It's like, obviously I should do it. Everything here proves that this is the answer. But we have 20,000 like scrap pieces of paper that we've thrown away in the past. It's like, that's not it. Yeah. Right? It doesn't work.
And everyone's always looking for like that answer. They're like, well, just tell me what I need to do. And it's like, it's not that simple, because there are so many variables, and it's the fundamentals of investing in real estate that still apply, regardless of how professional the market or the industry is getting within short-term rentals. Like, if you buy a property at a bad price and then you try to furnish it for $100,000 and you're in the hole so much that you can never recover, They're like, but Jordan and Mike told me I need to spend $30 a square foot, and I spent $800,000 on a house that I should have only spent $500,000 on. Like, we can't fix that for you. It all starts. You still have to acquire a good deal, and then from there, like, lay out your scenarios. Like, okay, worst case scenario, like what am I willing to, what's the low end of what I'm willing to spend for like the property, but then also like furniture and design. It's like, when does it start to deteriorate to where it's like, okay, I got a good property, but I won't have the funds or accessible funds to turn this into the product I want it to need to. These are conversations and decisions that you need to make for your property. It's not just going to be like, buy property at whatever price, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to implement a social media strategy, and I'm going to spend $60,000 on furniture. I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit the numbers that I want to, without realizing it's like, oh, but your debt service is $7,000 a month, and like, you're never going to be able to cash flow on a property because you ended up buying a bad deal.
I agree with that.
So
there's two, like, I don't know, the place that we've got out in Kempton, I just keep going back to that and like uniquifying the amenities there, because I've got some relatively standard amenities that are like, I don't know if they're fair, like a little putting green and a little cornhole area, horseshoes area. But as I was there the other day, I was looking at it and I was like, this whole lot is kind of sloped, and it would be so cool to terrace like in a big, like, not oval, but just like a curved front that's a little bit off the curve of a lot. So you have a curve of the lot, and then you have a little bit steeper curve there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from the ground, it would look so good, but then you would terrace each of them. So you would have putting green on one level, you would have cornhole on the next level, you would have horseshoes on the other. And I was imagining like standing there playing that and like having family and friends that were like down this little terrace yard all hanging out.
Right.
And then I started thinking through like, well, if we're going to do that, I need really cool, like, little table, right? Because everyone's going to go out there. They're going to bring, a snack. They're going to bring a drink. They're going to do it. So first thing I went to is like where to sit down and beat, right? You mean go out there and like play some mini golf, play some cornholes. You need to have something to set down, little garbage can kind of thing. And I think that, right, we use the hot tub example a lot. The hot tub's definitely way more unique than that. But I think like little things like that is kind of what you're getting after there, like thinking through that whole process from start to finish. What's the guest experience going to look like? And then how can you make it look and flow? Like I was thinking the putt little walkways where they kind of go around and walk down to the next one with some, stones and whatnot.
Yep. Yeah. It's one of those where, someone mentioned it to me when we bought our first property. They're like, oh, but it's a rental. Why would you do that? And I think that's the wrong mentality with STRs. Now today is like, if you do think of it as a rental, I can almost guarantee you're going to fail, versus if you think of it as a product you're looking to provide.
It's a business.
Exactly. It's a business.
That's like saying it's a business. Don't invest in it.
Right.
All right. Does this make any sense?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's like when someone said that to me, it's like, okay, like you're not in this world of what this actually takes. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of hosts that think like that. And then they come back and they're like, well, why am I not seeing the returns I'm, seeing? It's like, well, it's because they're not coming to stay at a house that's exactly like their own, that has, generic standard coffee. It's got a few pots and pans. It's got 4 plates. It's got 4 forks. Where they're going to want to come stay? They're going to want to come stay at my kick-ass A-frame that's fully stocked, fully loaded. Coffee is endless. They got nicer plates in that place than they have at their house. Like everything is quality, and it's an experience, and that guest is leaving and they're like, wow, like that's an experience. That's something that they then desire to come experience over and over and over again. And guess what? They're going to go tell their friends, oh my gosh, went and stay at this killer A-frame. Check out these pictures. We've everyone gets notifications, that, if you have a camera, like when a guest arrives or whatever. And so I saw one the other day come up, and the guest, arrived. I clicked on it because I'm like, one, I want to make sure it's the guest, because every once in a while we'll get people that peek in our windows at our property. And so I pulled up the camera, and it was the guest. And as I pulled it up, it played the audio, and it was a gal. She was sitting back taking a picture. She goes, holy shit, that's cool. Like, to me, that is the reaction that we're like. That's what I want guests to come up to all of our cabins and be like, wow. Versus
you remember the business name that we got on?
I'll never forget it.
Go ahead.
It was Hasty. Holy shit, that's yours. It's like, I still to this day, I think we'll eventually utilize it. So anyone listening to this, do not steal that LLC. We need
I'll go buy
that.
the domain.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't already bought it, but
It was like, I want people, we were trying to create places that were so unique and so stand out and so jaw dropping that people would walk up and say, holy shit, that's yours. Right? If we had family and friends out, they would be like, holy shit, that's yours. And it's, to me, building a place like that is easier than me buying a normal, boring primary residence for myself, because I can pencil that one out. You know, it's like, I'm going to spend 300, I'm going to make 500. That's perfect. Right. I'm okay with that. And I think that's exactly what you're getting at, is when you build it to that degree, right? People are going to want that experience, at least in the research that we've done and the cabins that we've launched that we can trace through our revenue. Like, that's the experience that they want. I think there's another component to be said to it too, where people that have the standard, you know, hey, they just want a place to get away. They don't care about anything special. If it's exactly like their house at home, and their house at home isn't all that great, that's okay. There's a whole market for that. Right? They're going to be cheaper. They're going to be rougher on this stuff. It's going to be, you know, it's different clientele. But what I will say is, it's a dangerous market, because the moment that things turn economically, right, as we fluctuate through the world, if all of a sudden things get tight, your place has the capability to drop down in price to enter that market. So when that happens, people are going to choose between this old rundown, you know, not so great place for $150 a night, or yours, God forbid, for $150 a night, right? Whose are they going to choose? Like, that gives you a lot of security in the market to have that nice of a place, because you do have the flexibility to charge whatever you want at the end of the day.
Exactly. And it all comes back to, it's spending money in the right areas, I will say. Like, spending money, what we're not saying is spending money recklessly. And that's why I think I identified these 4 areas that we've seen where this is where you will get the most bang for your buck in spending money, right? And another area that we're talking about today on our weekly call with our community was photography and videography. Because they were asking, like, hey, like, how much are you spending for like a social media manager or for content? And I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, high quality content is really what moves the needle with social media marketing and things like that. And it's like, when I told them, like, yeah, like, the team we're wanting to work with would be like $2,500 a month. And I think they were like, they fully expected that. But you tell some people that and they'd just be like, I don't even cash flow $2,500 a month. And you want to spend that on social media. But it's like, the upward trajectory of investing that capital in something of that high quality, I think, is just it's going to continue to amplify. And that's where you're going to see a lot of the best hosts when you go in. There's a correlation between these properties and whether they have a social media account or not, because what we're seeing is these accounts that are crushing it. Everyone's like, what's their secret sauce? Their secret sauce is they've figured out how to drive traffic to their property, not on Airbnb and VRBO. They've figured out a way to drive people to the direct booking site, which then gives them, you know, keys to the kingdom, because then they can start controlling price and everything that goes into it, versus the world of, you know, again, I don't want anyone to ever think that we're saying don't list on Airbnb, because you should. There's a lot of traffic that comes through there. But if you can get to the point where you drive people direct, you make more money, the guest saves money, and then you start to be able to take control of how much you can price your property at. And then you're not competing against properties in your market. Now you're attracting attention to your place, driving it through social media directly to your direct booking site. And you can charge 25, 30, 40% higher than the market, because that guest, when they get to your site, they're in your ecosystem. They're not Airbnb with 5 tabs open. Be like, I got Jordan's A-frame and 4 of their properties. Like, am I willing to spend 40% more versus that guest coming there? They're like, oh, I just want to go experience that. And that's the price tag. I'm willing to spend it.
100%. And I think too, the audience size is so much different. Like, the number of people that are on Instagram that can see your stuff, it's anybody that's interested in travel or Airbnbs or good looking houses, or that their friend tagged them in. Right? There's millions and millions and millions of people versus the number of people that are searching for your location at that time. And it's, what's cool is, like, if you have a good revenue management strategy, you appeal to both, right? All of the places, all of the dates that are open and far out are going to start showing to Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever. Get those reservations in at 40, 50% higher. And then as they get closer, if there's still any time available, which for us, a lot of times there's not, right? But if there is, then all of a sudden, like you start decreasing those prices and you compete on Airbnb just to get, those last dates filled up. Month ends.
And you can fill those dates on social media as well through like promoting to people, be like, hey, like it's almost like the FOMO, like, hey, last minute opening on dates. We have 2 dates available in November. And if someone's like, I've been looking to go and these are discount prices, I want to go, like they'll snag them up quick.
That and email. That's a really good use there, because I've done a couple recently where it's like go out there for a work remote trip. We've got this day open. If you guys want to go out and if you're close enough, literally just drive out there, work for the day.
Yep.
I do love to do that whenever I can.
Yep.
So yeah, I love it. And I completely agree. Like, we've seen such a difference. We just show you the hierarchy from, no investment in those things to ultimate investment in those things. And the revenue that each property generates corresponds exactly with the investment that we've put into.
You know what's funny? I just thought of this. So we were talking earlier today about the Stoic and the hot tub that we put there, the hot tub on the boulder. What's that's produced for us from a revenue perspective? We're projecting that's going to bring in an extra $18,000 in 1 year just from that alone. Do you remember when we were like in the research phase of like, should we do this? Should we consider adding this hot tub? And you got a lot of people that would come out and they're like, it's not going to increase your ADR. It's not going to boost your revenue. You're not going to be able to pay for the hot tub. Like the haters were coming out of the woodwork. They're like, this is going to fail miserably. You know what? What's a lot that ADR, I think it's been 6 months. Was it July when we started that?
It's July.
So, yeah. So July was like the first full month. So it's November now. From July to November, our ADR has went from, I think it was like 202 or 203 at that property to 282. And our occupancy is up to 70%.
On $80 per night.
$80
for every single
per night. Correct. And 2 months ago, it was like 259 or something. So it's like, it's continuing to increase. And I ran it through the end of the year and it's like, it's at that 280 mark. And it's like, like who wouldn't do that? And it's like, we're going to pay off this hot tub in just under a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, and it's like, that's what we mean where it's like, invest in that stuff and uniqueify your amenities and do it differently. Even when people tell you like, it's not going to work, because if it's this concept, if the other 98% isn't doing it and willing to do it, but the 2% are willing to do it, those are the ones that are going to seek, they're going to get that benefit. They're going to get the ROI. They're the ones that are going to take the chance, but taking that chance has proved beneficial. Now, don't be reckless. And when it's like every one of their dogs, like, do not do that. That's like a bad idea. Like, definitely take it into consideration, but don't let it be the reason why you don't move forward with something.
Everybody that stays at the Naturalist gets a free helicopter ride the whole weekend.
Yeah, really.
Like wherever you want to go.
That'd be cool. I'm sure there's someone.
That is not true.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think that's honestly like awesome to bring. I also think we should screenshot that and go back and find those posts and be like, here, just recapping your room. And I do think though that it makes a really good point for people to, posting Facebook groups. I use them all the time to get people's opinions, but really go with your gut. Like if you've done the research and if your gut tells you haven't done enough research, don't go with your gut yet. Keep researching. Right. But really like look for the nose, look to be devil's advocate for your own deals. Like if you're looking at furniture and you're like $22 a square foot or $42 a square foot, everything shows you need to be in a 28 range, go to a 28 range. Right? You can upgrade later if you need to.
Yep.
That hot tub too, I think, is a really good example of like watching the ROI on each part, on the amenity and whatnot, where for us, we got a separate loan for the hot tub. So we have our standard mortgage interest, all of our normal expenses, but then we have another loan to build the hot tub. And it's cool because once we pay that off, it's all a profit, right? We're playing with house money essentially at that point because it got paid back by the property. So it's at that point, like we're just putting more into our property account or doing more unique amenities.
Right. And so the last comment on this, and it was something we looked into initially with the hot tub. It's like, okay, well, how do you finance it? How do you pay it back? And is financing it the right direction to go? Because everyone was telling us, no, it wasn't the way to go. And what I've come to find out is, because I wanted to build this robust, like amenity payback plan or amenity, like how do we pay for this? And essentially what it comes down to is providing a unique, desirable enough amenity or product that people are willing to pay. that's where you need to invest in that product to be able to get that to pay off itself. There's no secret sauce on how you get it. You know, how am I going to pay off the hot tub? Or if I put a container pool, like how am I going to, you know, pay off the container pool? You know how you're going to pay off the container pool? It's going to boost your ADR by $200 a night. That's how you're going to pay off the container pool. That's how you're going to pay off the hot tub. And if you put a container pool in and then just only list it on Airbnb, you're not going to see as much benefit. But you know what would be awesome? Put a killer container pool in with fully loaded deck. Everything is just perfect with it. Then promote that through your email marketing or through your email list, and then come in with social media marketing as well. That I guarantee you, like numbers on paper would tell you they'd probably increase it by $150 a night. Do all those things. I almost guarantee it'd be like 200, 250. I'm not promising that, but what I'm saying is like, it's all these different components that allows hosts to take these concepts and just amplify the revenue from, you know, what can come from them.
It's like skill stacking, your amenity stacking.
Mm-hmm. Dude, it's
Cool.
like, what do we say? Unique stacking. I threw out uniquifying to start. We're just making up terms at this point.
There we
But
go. That's how we know we've been on for too long.
Yeah, we've been on the phone all day. But no, it's it's being willing to invest in these areas because it is professionalizing. That's what I think is going to allow hosts to stand out and continue to grow with their properties, as opposed to being one of those hosts that goes to the Facebook group and says, I'm not growing. Why?
Yeah.
And it's like,
it didn't happen for me for free.
Exactly. And it's like, well, if you would have listened to the Hideaways Show Behind the Curtain edition, you would know why, you know, we explained it here.
Always start on with episode 38. Just go there first, you'll know.
Exactly. So, but no, it's as simple as that. And it's, you know, you got to invest it to see the return. And I can promise you it'll be worth it in the end. So, but all right. Well, Mike, anything else? I know you're, uncaffeinated right now, so you're probably dwindling. Yeah, you're just rolling. You're a high energy guy. You're like me.
I am a high energy. I don't even really need caffeine. I just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's true. Love a good cup of Joe. So
yeah, for sure. No, I'm good. I think it was good. I am excited for the next couple designs that we've got coming up, and to really show putting our money where our mouth is again and again, and watching that revenue prove it.
Yeah, it's just going to continue to amplify over and over again with each property that we come out with. So stay tuned, because they're just going to keep getting better and better. So, Well, alrighty. Well, that does it. Another amazing episode of the Hideaway Show Behind the Curtain edition. I'm Jordan Holmes. He's Mike Sebastian. Until next time, take care, everyone.